We're with Mississippi College head coach John Bland as we get set for this week's game against North Greenville University. But first of all, Coach, as we thank you for joining us, congratulations on the win over Keiser University this past Saturday in Clinton. That was a big win for your program. Boy, a lot of good things to talk about. I want to start with the defense and how they came up with some big stops and some big plays in the first half to put a 0 on the scoreboard for Keiser in the first 2 quarters.
Sure did. I tell you what, we moved the ball really well the first 3 drives, but then we went 3 and out 3 times in a row, I think. And that was a time for Keiser, had a little momentum, but this just wasn't happening with our defense. And so that was really big for us. We got big stops. Even when we drove and scored, we had some big stops, and we stopped them on 4th down several times. They were trying to stay in the game with us. Keiser is an NAIA school, but they're not your average NAIA school. They're highly ranked. They're really, really big. They've got a talented bunch, and they played one of our teams. Obviously, they played us tough as well, but they played Valdosta State, which we know is really good every year, and so it's good as far as in the GSC and in the nation. So we knew they're very talented. So it was a big win for us.
And as far as that game, the flow of the game went, it really set up well for the kind of game I think you like to play. You get yourself a nice lead, not a huge lead, but a nice lead at halftime and early on, and you turn it over to your ball control offense, and they did a great job in the second half. There was one drive, I think 9 minutes and 30 seconds was the drive that ultimately kind of put that game away.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that because I didn't know that. I knew it was long, and I look over at our defensive staff, and they're waiting to make calls again, and they're enjoying that too. And just like all of us are, but that's our goal is to stay on the field, and our defense's goal is to get off the field. So worked out that way for that. That was really good for us. I think that's something we're going to continue to get better at. Some of the things that we did were good. We've still got room for improvement, which is good. When you're improving after a win, it feels a lot better.
One of the young men who had a good game, we'll talk with him at our halftime interview today, is Jaylen Brown. He was with the Choctaws earlier, left through the transfer portal, but now he's back, and he's had a big impact in these first 2 ball games.
That's right. That's one of those good stories you like to hear, and you got there's a lot of negative talk about the transfer portal and throughout all of football. And then you see someone who goes somewhere and comes back, and Jaylen, he graduated from here, which is good, and now getting his master's degree. So he wanted to come back to Mississippi College. That makes you feel good about your program when there's so many other options out there, and the NCAA is allowing people to go where they want pretty much. And Jaylen chose to come back here, which he explored a little bit and decided to come back. And I'm hoping that's ends up good for him as well throughout this year.
Speaking of the transfer portal, is that something that you and your coaching staff are trying to take advantage of like other teams around the country?
We do. It's not designed for Division II, but it is. We've always got transfers. We've got a junior college system here in Mississippi that's really, really good, and then we've got other kids that do end up finishing their career maybe at a lower level, but now the transfer portal is designed really for guys who can move laterally or even up and not be punished or penalized by having to sit out a year. And so it's not designed for us, but we do have to utilize it. We have to go legally by kids being in the transfer portal. So it's very similar to what we've always done, but not necessarily designed for Division II.
In the game against Keiser University, you were able to get a lot of guys playing time in the second half. Was there any of those players that really stuck out in your mind or the coaching staff's mind that, hey, these guys showed us something we can use later on this season?
Well, that's our goal for sure, and we got some guys, some quarterbacks, a couple of series, which was good because it is a physical offense. That's always important to have someone ready and to get some game action, not just practice. They're not getting hit in practice, so that was really good with Devlin Woods and also John Henry White. They got some repetitions, and we wanted to get a lot of guys repetitions, and it's not always we're trying to run the ball on offense and utilize that clock, so we're not opening up our whole playbook, but it is game experience, and blocking is blocking, and running the ball is running the ball, and protecting the quarterback. All those things are just the same, and so that's really good, and our defense did the same thing. We've got a lot of guys and no matter whether you're winning or losing, you're going to get people banged up and injured, so you need to be deep in a lot of positions, and I felt like we are getting those repetitions in this game.
Evaluate your special teams for me a couple of games into the season. There have been a couple of issues there. You've got some new faces. What's the conversation with those guys right now?
Well, I feel like we've gotten better over the first 2 games. Now, we did have a missed extra point. We had a block extra point. And there was some big bodies on defense. And it's not a playoff. We've seen that at all levels. I've watched several of them. I was watching a great game on TV after the first week, and man, it came down to the last play, and it's a block, and it's as high a level as you'll get in college football. Well, we face the same thing, and so we've got to take that play very serious. We've got to be very physical, and it's not just up to the snapper and the holder and the kicker. We've got to protect that, and we've got to get the ball off. And I feel like we've got some really good young kickers. I'm going to tell you, I'm excited about them. They're going to help us win, and the team is excited about them. I think we've got some good competition. It's not just one. It's several guys. We got 3 good, really good ones that can really kick it high and deep, and so I feel good about that. Our punters as well. With Houston Smith's done a good job. We averaged almost 40 yards a net this past week, and our protection's been really solid in that. Our coverage improved from week 1 to 2. We had a really good week in week 1, but we had one we returned about 40 yards, and it was just a couple of people not doing what they're supposed to do. It wasn't really Albany State, but it was it's the coverage part. So we've improved on that. I feel good about our direction we're headed.
Well, you have to feel good about the way your team played against North Greenville University last year.
Yeah.
Took a long trip and really ran the ball at will against this Crusader team. You know they're going to be another tough out today, but knowing that you've had success against them, it's got to give your team some confidence going into this week.
It does. It does. One of the things that you look at when you look at a team like that, and offensively at least, we rushed the ball for almost 400 yards. I like to say maybe we did rush for 400, but we had a few negative plays and took a knee at the very end, and maybe it took us right below 400. Coach Larndine wasn't excited about that. But anyway, we had a good game offensively. Had almost 100 yards, or maybe over 100 yards passing, so right at 500 yards total. But they're going to probably make some adjustments this year. It's not like they're going to go, hey, let's do that again. We're wanting to do it again, but they're not wanting to. And so one of the things we'll do is we'll come out there ready for some slight adjustments. It's going to be a physical game. It always has been. Last year was a real good game. We had the ball for 42 minutes, and they had it 18 minutes, which was really good for us, our offense and our defense. The next thing is we were able to make first downs. There were a few plays that were big plays for us. They could have gone the other direction, matter of fact. They could have stopped us. They could have sacked us on one. We end up getting a 40-yard gain. Those type of things go our way. If they don't, it could be a difference. Maybe not in the game, but it'll make it a little closer, where instead of being 42-21, it could have been a battle down to the wire. They got an onside kick, a surprise, not an onside, but it was a little bloop in a short kick, and they got it. And we stopped them 4 downs in a row. Those type of things are big in a tight game. Which it was, but it ended up being 3 touchdown games. So we're not expecting anything. We're not overlooking anybody. We're going to play as hard as we can and continue to grow, continue to get better. And I feel like our team is ready for that challenge.
Well, there's going to be one more non-conference game next week at
That's
McNeese,
right.
But conference season starts right now with North Greenville University. And, looking down the line, you got some tough opponents. One of those teams you'll play twice is ranked 7th in the nation right now.
That's good.
But how important it is for your team to get off to a 1-0 start in conference play?
Well, it is. It's important for every game, 1-0, 2-0. And we're going to this, as we know, we knew this going in. The conference is as good as there is. The one we're playing twice is as good as there is, too. So that's not, if you chose somebody, said, who do we want to play twice? There's not really anybody. They're all good. And so, but it is one of the better ones that has been the past few years. I'm sure they're not excited about playing Mississippi College because of the style of ball we play offensively and defensively as well. But it is going to be very important to get off to a good start. Next week, we have McNeese State, and that's not a conference game, but it kind of is because the coaching staff at McNeese State was at Valdosta last year. So they're familiar with us at least. I know it'll be a different bunch of guys, but it'll be a really, really tough challenge as well.
Yeah, speaking of West Florida, the team will play twice.
Yeah.
I bet they'll ask West Alabama what it's like to play the Choctaws twice in 1 year because the Tigers found out last year.
No doubt. That's right.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time very much, and we wish you good luck in the game today.
Thank you, Reed.
Mississippi College head coach John Bland with us as we get set for the Choctaws and North Greenville University this Saturday in Clinton.